Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode, I say this every time, but today's like really true, is going to be so exciting and so fun. We have today with us Casey Hayden. She is one of the coaches inside of Mind Her Business. If you do not know, Mind Her Business has three coaches: myself, Marley, a business coach, and Casey, a Clifton strengths coach. So, we're going to be talking to you today about really the cycle of how money impacts your business, knowing your numbers impacts your business, and decisions that you make inside your business also impact your money, and how this could be a good thing and maybe it's not a good thing right now. Maybe it could feel better. But we've talked with several clients this past week and people who are not clients yet, who have had really hard times making decisions, business decisions. They want to make the decisions, but it hasn't been an easy decision to make because the numbers, they don't know their numbers yet. They don't have the evidence and the information that they need to be able to make those decisions quickly, confidently, with ease, to be able to take their business to the next level to make and keep more money. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm using lots of hand motions, but this is a cycle that continues. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business. It doesn't matter how successful your business is. There are always different levels that you are going to reach that require more decisions. And the decisions can be easy and fun, or they can be really hard and clunky and feel really terrible. And that's what we do not want for you. So, Marley, no, I'm going to ask Casey the first question. Casey this is unique because Casey was a part of Mind Her Business as a client and is now a coach inside of Mind Her Business. So she has lots of different viewpoints of how this has impacted her personal life and her business and her money. So we're going to kind of try to hit all of those high points today. If you're listening and you may have thought that you want to get control of your money and or take your business to the next level, this is going to help you make decisions so much better. So stick around. So Casey, will you tell us a bit about yourself, your business, and where you how you started in Mind Her Business?
Absolutely. So I am, like I said, a certified Clifton Strengths coach. And if you're not sure what Clifton Strengths is, it is a assessment that measures success. And so what I have the opportunity to do is helping people figure out how they can achieve their goals based on the way that they found success in their past. And so we really, really unpack that. And that applies to kind of your financial journey and managing your money. So I started coaching outside of the corporate world about a year ago now. And as I was on this journey of starting a business, there are lots of opportunities and lots of challenges. And there's so many solutions out there. You can pay for somebody to do all these services for you. There are products and platforms out there that certainly add value to your business. And I am a very intentional person. And so the entire time it was okay, well, is this actually going to help me? Or is this just like a shiny thing? Here's this product that, another coach is recommending, or here's this product that a company is saying that I should be utilizing, but is that right for me and right for my clients at this time? And that's really what was the motivator behind me joining Mind Her Business, was not really having the data to confidently make any of those decisions. It was really at the time, I was torn between, okay, well, am I going to pay somebody to do all of these things for my business? And I remember looking at it and thinking, okay, if I pay somebody to do all of this stuff, in 3 months when this contract runs out, I'm going to have to learn how to do it myself. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant for my money. So really, really getting into Mind Her Business so that way I felt confident about those decisions was kind of what brought me into the program. I feel like there was a second part of the question.
No, I think it's interesting. We talk about shiny object syndrome a lot on the podcast, but also inside Mind Her Business. And the online world in general, whether you are a service provider online or not, it is very FOMO and shiny object syndrome geared. It's like emotional buying is what everybody does. It's like, well, I felt the pull. There is, I call that, Marley and I call this calculated risk and uncalculated risk. Like, are you just taking a risk because someone said big risk equals big reward? Or are you taking a calculated risk because you've weighed your options, you know your numbers, you have the data to back up this decision and go confidently into this? And I think one thing that you didn't say out loud, but I kind of heard, and I know you also, this was not your like savior, right? This
No.
program wasn't here to save you. You were willing to come in and put the work in to get the data to be able to make the decisions. And we're not making the decisions for you. You still get to make your own decisions. You just have an avenue that you can now take that feels better to make those decisions.
Yeah. And so at the time when I came into Mind Her Business, like I said, I had just sort of started this program. And I had a lot of assumptions about where I was at, like success wise for the business. And like a lot of people just sort of like dramatized, I think, what was going on in my business. Like I had sales, but I was like, oh man, there's no way that I'm breaking even. There was all of these fears and risks that sort of were living rent free inside of my head, but without any evidence that was the reality. And I remember like one of the first things going through Mind Her Business of like filling out my spreadsheet from the previous year. And I was like, oh, I was one client away from turning a profit in my first 3 months of business, which was great. But it also like gave me the confidence to be like, okay, so if I track this on a regular basis, I'm not going to have these fears and concerns and like start looking for all of these, like you said, shiny objects that I think that I might need, because I can kind of keep my head down and see like, oh, what I am doing is working at this point. And what I really, really love about it is, one, starting with like the financial coaching of, hey, let's get your basis, let's get your foundation, let's give you the variables that you need to know in order to make a decision. And then I got to have a really great one-on-one with Marley, where I sort of talked to her about like the other unknowns in my business. And so this was like, hey, I don't know if I need a certain system or a platform or a workflow or what that really means for my business. And she was able to really dig in and ask me some good questions, and provide me with like, okay, so what you actually need is a way to stay organized right now. And so it was here's the money, here's what I'm doing, this is what I need in my business. And then sort of circling back with, okay, I think I know how I want to stay organized. Does that align with what I want my money to do for me? And so I almost think of it like a staircase. It's almost like you make you have the information for your money to make a business decision, and so on and so forth as you're going up. But if you don't have that data, if you don't have that information, what it feels like you have to do is like leap up the staircase and potentially fall down, or like rappel yourself down and like start back up, as opposed to just like being able to take informed and intentional steps each part of the way, which has brought a lot of like clarity and calm to my business. So when I show up to work in my business, I can just work in my business and serve my clients, instead of like, again, dramatizing what I think is going on and being anxious and nervous and spending any energy looking for those shiny objects that wouldn't actually serve my business.
I want to make this a little tangible for our listeners about some of the decisions that you were able to make that were so easy to make because you knew your numbers when we got into the business coaching side of it. And I'll start by saying we had a client just today who said she made over $9,000 in her first 2 months in business, which was a huge win. She said her feelings told her, but oh my gosh, where did it all go? That was her first, like, oh my gosh, it's all gone. But then her data on her spreadsheet, she said, but logically, I actually know where it is. I do have some left, but I know what my expenses were. And now she's able to go, okay, so a lot of it's gone, but it went to these places that I've intentionally decided for it to go to. And do I want to evaluate some of these expenses and decide, are they really necessary? Would I have liked to see more of that as profit that I could keep? Are they all very justifiable? It brought a lot of truth to the feelings that were coming up, truth to the numbers about the fact is that here's what I have left versus the feeling of it's all gone and I don't know where it went. Mm-hmm. So knowing her numbers gave her the confidence to kind of say, okay, feelings, I see you, because I'm a normal human being that's going to feel that way. And then to go, okay, no, I actually am in control of my money because I know exactly where it's coming from and exactly where it's going. And then she gets to start making decisions. So that's, Casey, when you and I met, you already knew your numbers because you had been in Mind Her Business. And then we got to have a conversation about your offers and about your, like you had said, you were trying, or you were window shopping a lot of processes and websites. So let's give some examples. Zoom, right? Calendly to book clients with on automation, just basically to add people to your calendar and let them pick their time slot, right? Like there's so many, that's just two off the top of my head, but there are so many systems that we see so many coaches in the online space have, and this can be for brick and mortar businesses as well. Hair salons, they're using booking tools now for people to automate their booking processes. And so what we were able to do, I remember, is go, okay, what are you really feeling is in your way right now? And it turned out a lot of it didn't have anything to do so much with, correct me if I'm wrong here, because it was a little while ago, but a lot of it didn't have so much to do with you needing to pay for services to automate some of the processes. We just simply needed to really go like bare bones simple instead of adding more things that would give you more to-dos on your list, like setting up these processes and having these automations that seem like they seem like they're going to make your business a lot more streamlined, and they do. But at the same time, you were actually struggling with time management between your 9 to 5 and managing your business. So the real struggle was actually in managing your time, not that you didn't have enough time. So we had to kind of go down to like the real root of where your sort of anxieties, I'll say, were at before we could decide what automations were going to actually benefit your business. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And what was really fun about that conversation was, again, so when you're thinking of that kind of process, it can be a lot of, like you need an email, you need to have a course, you need to have multiple offerings, there's a lot of there are a lot of things out there, a lot of messaging that says you need this if you're ever going to be able to do that. Well, what was helpful about knowing my numbers is that I knew exactly what I could afford, and so I could sort of narrow it down to be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking about. But then the beauty of the business coaching with Marley was that she could really dig deep into, okay, well, what do you actually need? And so for me, it was to make the most out of my time when I'm sitting down to prepare for any sort of interaction, tracking clients, that type of stuff, as opposed to, hey, you need a really pretty email, or you need to pay somebody to do your website, or any of that type of stuff. And so it almost helps you, the combination of the business coaching and the financial coaching really helps you to figure out like, what are the steps in front of me? And am I taking 2 at a time, 1 at a time, 3 at a time? Can I reach? As opposed to just sort of shooting from the hip and hoping that you're taking a step that is good for you. And one of the things that we do inside of Mind Her Business is really get down to what you want your money to do for you too. And so coming back to that kind of what my money values are, what I want my money to do for me, what's important for me to do, was part of that conversation. And so to Marley's point, it wasn't, let's sit down and set up this, elaborate automated system that you're going to have to maintain, because that's, my money values were defined. So that way, what aligned with everything at the time was really something that I could do in Google, and propelled my business forward. So it wasn't just being cheap to be cheap. It wasn't just using something simple to be simple. It was using something that was in alignment with where I was at in the business, what I wanted my money to do, and what I was ready for my business to do.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
to
it's
prioritize profit, right?
Yep.
prioritize profit, and like a simple system for you right now does not mean that it's not scalable. It does not mean you have to stay there. It means this is where everything lines up for you right now in a way that you can sustain business exactly where you are. Now, when you want to reach a different level, we look at the numbers. We look at what you want, because your money goals may change. Your family goals may change. Your money story always evolves, right? So as that evolves, your business goals will evolve, which means your business systems have to evolve, and that's okay too. That's where having the data, and you're talking about tracking numbers. We're also tracking clients for you, right? Like when I say we, you're doing it, but we're looking at it. Like you're not just tracking money, you're tracking how many clients per month do I have? What's the increase from month to month? How many clients would I need if I want to, I don't know, hire a nanny? I don't know. I'm just like throwing something out there. You get to play with all of these numbers. And I think you said something important, and maybe you didn't mean to say it, but we make decisions about business already. You have already made up your mind what you can and cannot do, and you've more than likely done it not based on data. You've based it on emotional responses, what you feel like you have and haven't been able to do in the past. If you are listening to this and you're like, yes, but I can't afford that, let me be very clear. Pause this and go back to our last episode because that is one of the things we hear all the time. Casey said this. Casey said this to me. I don't think this is something I can afford right now. And I was like, let's see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and at that time, it was like I was deciding between this thing over here, product A or this mastermind. And I remember going through the process and saying, okay, well, this might be a solution over here. This like service, this product over here might be a solution, but I'm still going to have these concerns and these worries regardless, and, not the uncertainty and not knowing what to do. Where if I take Mind Her Business, I was 100% confident that I was going to at least know where I was, so that way I could make decisions. And Becca, just kind of back to the point of like your business evolving. I mean, in the last 6 months of Mind Her Business, my business evolved. We just had a conversation about something that I was doing, or a product that I was using that was a pretty entry-level, low-cost product, and how it might not actually be serving my business anymore. In that same avenue, my family has the opportunity to make a business decision collectively. And I got to circle back with Becca and kind of talk through like, okay, all of those first day things are coming back, right? First day of school, I have the anxiety, I have the emotion, I'm unsure. And we got to sort of calculate exactly what that meant for my family and exactly what that meant in my business. And so it was down to, okay, here is like, if you are going to give up revenue in this lane over here, here's how many clients you would need based off of your current services in order to make that up. How does that feel? And like, it was shockingly low, shockingly easy. One of those moments where you're like, oh, like I made a big deal about that. Like if I just would have like consulted my numbers first, I would have been like, yes, this is a very doable thing. And so it was fun to sort of see the evolution and kind of repeat of checking your numbers so you can make a decision. You want to make a decision, we'll check your numbers. Check your numbers to make a decision. You want to make a decision, we'll check your numbers. And just kind of going up. And it's fun in business because you get to sort of see what are the opportunities out there for you and how do you want those to be aligned. Versus like, what maybe isn't a good fit, either because it's too expensive or because it's something that you're using that's no longer serving your business. And I think that that's where a lot of people can get hung up too, especially if it's you're paying somebody to do a service for you, or maybe you have a certain type of platform or outlet that you're utilizing, but maybe your clients have evolved. Maybe the services that you have evolved. And so being able to look at the data and saying, hey, I'm hitting a plateau over here, but I can now be creative in my business and see a pathway forward to this over here. A few steps or the next floor up, if you will. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to let go of this service because I want to work on this sort of new lane or new avenue over here. But you can't do that if you don't know the data, right? You can't do that with confidence and clarity if you do not have the knowledge and data. And that's where, I feel like it's like having a left foot and having a right foot, right? Like you step one at a time. And they're just so intertwined that in order to work together, they have to be connected. Otherwise, you're just going to fall down the stairs.
I want to come back to, that's so good. Million thoughts. Let me try to zoom in on one. The idea of shiny object syndrome has reminded me of, I would say every client of mine, especially when they come to me in trying to make decisions on, like we discussed, what should I invest in? Because we live on social media, which is very aesthetically pleasing. And we see a lot of our mentors with very aesthetic looking business models from the outside. And so we tell ourselves that we need to invest in fancy funnels, and we need to have fancy emails going out to our lists. And we need to have all of these ducks in a row because that's what our mentors and our idols that we're following have. And so often when we're brand new in business, or when we're in the beginning few years of our business, we see all these things and we should on ourselves, right? We're shoulding that we should have all of these things like they have. And then on top of that, most businesses in the beginning, especially if they do not have that financial background to know their numbers and know how to analyze the data of their numbers, they're very quick to jump on the FOMO or the shiny object syndrome and invest in the thing and hire somebody to help them. And so they're not using data, but they're using a lot of they want to look aesthetic like everyone else. And so they're spending way too much money on services and systems and expenses in their business that aren't actually getting them closer to their financial goals. They're not actually giving them a return on investment. And so that is one of the things that we're so good at in Mind Her Business, is helping you go, what is your big goal for your business? What is your goal for your family? Because those are intertwined, as most of us business entrepreneurs are work from home. Most of us entrepreneurs, our goals are so intertwined, business and personal. We're going to help you look at the big picture of your goals. We're going to help you learn how to make decisions based on the data and the number over the data over drama. And then we're going to be able to help you walk towards your goals more quickly, because you're not going to be spending money on things that isn't necessarily giving you a return on investment as quickly and as efficiently as you'd like it to. So that is one of the biggest, I'm going to say, mistakes that business owners make, is trying too hard to jump to aesthetic looking from the outside businesses and systems. And if you've ever worked with me, I am not, and this is going to turn a lot of people off, but I'm not the aesthetic coach. I'm not going to tell you that you need fancy things, because my business started with Instagram DMs, and I would manually send a checkout link, and I was able to scale my business to my first 20K month in my first 6 months of business doing that. So those extras are sometimes the thing that's preventing you from actually having the profit that you want in your business.
From someone who has seen a lot of people's numbers, I would say 9 times out of 10, that is the thing holding you back from getting to the next business level, or the next profit level, or revenue level, or client level, whatever it is for you. It doesn't always have to be money related. Here is Mind Her Business in a nutshell from all three of us. All three of us have been through Mind Her Business. All three of us are inside coaching in Mind Her Business. What you get are 3 people with very unique skills that help you know your numbers without a shadow of a doubt. And in knowing those numbers and knowing what strengths you are naturally gifted with, you get to make very clear and easy and fun decisions confidently. Marley and I just made some decisions in my business 2 days ago. I wasn't spiraling, but I was like, I just feel like I need X number of clients before that's going to be possible for me. And she was like, pull up your spreadsheet. And I was like, ah, fine. So I pulled it up and she was like, Becca. And it was, this is me. This is always me. I never know how close I am because I'm always moving the marker. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's that I forget to stay, like to look at where I am because I'm always looking to the future. And Marley reminded me, you have made some really fun business decisions in the last 3 months, and you wouldn't have been able to do those if you didn't have this to pull up and look at a moment's notice. And so we went back through and made some more fun decisions this week. And it's just, Marley is a partner of mine where I can pull it up and I'm like, look at these numbers and just tell me what to do. Where she doesn't tell me what to do, but she helps me make decisions. That's what the three of us are for you. You have people to say, this is what I'm seeing based on your goals, based on your business, based on your money, based on your personality and your strengths. This is what I see. What do you think? And it's so fun because Casey doesn't realize this, but Casey has started making her own decisions and just updates us. As opposed to, hey, I have this thing I need to work through. Can one of you like talk me through it? And now it's Casey's doing it on her own based on her own data, her own strengths, her own
Confidence.
Confidence, yes. And now she's like, hey, guys, I made this decision. I'm doing this next. And it's so fun to see. That was a short 6 months.
It was. And I mean, just for like some context for people, like I was the person who was operating in business. I was selling. I was working with, clients worldwide, executives. And I had a business bank account, but I had not picked up the card from the bank and I had not like logged into it more than twice because it just like gave me anxiety. So things were intermingled with our household income. And it was like maybe the first coaching session or the second coaching session. And I went in, got my debit card, logged in, saw the information. I was like, oh, this actually isn't that scary. But even that little step felt like a big thing at the time. And it also gave me a lot of confidence by taking that step in order to continue making good informed business decisions. And it just it's like building a muscle, right? Like the more you practice, the more you get reps in, regardless of whether you think it's something small and silly, the more confidence that you're going to get in order to build the business and life that you truly want and deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And anything new always feels hard. And that's what we love so much about this container is that we are going to get, and we've all personally been through this inside Mind Our Business. Obviously, we are still using these tools ourselves in our own businesses because we believe in them so wholeheartedly. We're not just telling you what to do and we've, moved on to some other thing. Anything new feels hard, and we get to walk with you hand in hand and help you take those steps to go to we laugh when you say, oh, I didn't go get the bank card. 9 out of 10 people listening to this episode are also nodding their head going, yeah, that's literally me. Or I still use my personal bank account. Like every client that comes into our space is not managing their money and is not simplifying how their money is held because they're letting it be messy because they don't know any different. And so we get to hold your hand and walk you through how to separate your business money, how to know your numbers, how to track, what to look for, how to make smart business decisions, and how to do that all knowing yourself and your own personal strengths and goals. That's the beauty of having a space like this and that we've all benefited from. And it makes us so proud when we get to hear those kind of testimonials from the women going through, including you, Casey, because it is a game changer to know your numbers.
What would you tell someone today, Casey? Take off your coach hat for a second and put on your client hat.
Yeah. So I would say as a client, being good at money is not some unique personality trait. It is genuinely a skill that anybody can learn at any stage. You just haven't been taught how to learn the skill. And if nothing else, if you walk away from learning that skill, regardless of whether you have a business or it's your personal life, like I am so excited that I get to like change that narrative for my 3-year-old daughter. Like she is going to grow up in a family where, you know, both parents feel confident about money, as opposed to having one parent who is good at money and one parent who has the narrative that they are not good at money. Like it is a skill just like anything else, and you can literally learn it one step at a time. And you have coaches here to help you do that. Like it's like having training wheels on the bike. Like you can learn how to do it too.
Mm-hmm. And then business decisions are easier. If I die today, please write it on my tombstone. Well, there are like 10 things I need you to write on my tombstone, but this is one of them. Business decisions, your family decisions, the vacations you decide to take, the model of the business that you choose are so much easier to make when you know your numbers. And Marley has seen this not only in her own life, but in every single client who comes to her who do know their numbers. They make very fast decisions that feel comfortable and confident for them, and they excel at whatever their goal is much faster than those who don't have those numbers.
A huge, what do I call it? Brain space. When you don't know your numbers, there's a lot of brain space taken up by feelings, and our feelings tend to be based on a little bit of drama. And so when you know your numbers, it clears up so much of that drama and those stories that you're telling yourself about where you're at financially, on how successful you are, on how good you are with your money, on how good you are at your business. That brain space is cleared up when you know black and white what you do and don't have, and where your money is coming from and where it's going. And when that brain space is cleared up, you are calm. You're able to make decisions based on that data. It feels light. Everything gets more simple, and you get to feel and be lighter both in your business and at home, because you don't have that extra layer of stress weighing on you. And so I would encourage anyone that's listening that's been nodding their head and resonating with any of those personal anecdotes that we've shared from our experiences and some of our clients, and from Casey sharing her story with us today as our very first guest on the podcast, by the way, to reach out to one of us and ask questions, because again, you don't know what you don't know. And our job is never to convince anyone to join Mind Her Business. Our job is to help you decide what is your next best step based on where you're at. And you won't know that unless you ask. And so we're very safe and very easy to chat with people. So welcome to come to our Instagrams. We will add Casey's Instagram handle below in the show notes. And we would love for you to come over to Instagram DMs and say hi and tell us what you took from today's episode. And feel free to ask us any questions you might have about what might be the next best step for you.